This is a Miami Sports Music Podcast Network production. This is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers, let's go.
I know the whole city rising. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Good morning. It is your boy, Stephen D, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network, home of the #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers. What is up? It is Thursday, March the 16th. Want to say good morning to all my Finlaws and my family. That's with a PH. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephen Daniels. You can follow me on all social media at Stephen D SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. You can also follow Miami Sports Music everywhere at Miami Sports Music, except on Twitter, where we are at MIA Sports Music. Okay. Want to remind you all too, on your way in, hit the like button. Okay. Hit it. Just hit the like button. Make sure you all do it. It helps. It goes such a long way into helping the channel grow, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything to hit the like button. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, that's also free. Subscribe. The only way you get a chance to talk in the chat is if you're subscribed to the channel. It helps the channel grow. That goes such a long way, and both of those things are free by hitting the like button and subscribing. Now, if you do want to sign up and become a member of the family, there are plenty of seats waiting at the table for you. We hope that you would consider coming on board and becoming part of the family. Make sure y'all do that today. We'd love to see you sign up, get new members or former members coming back, whatever it is. We hope that you come in. We hope that you all do it. Okay. Hey, look, if you want to help the channel grow, you can help the channel grow by donating. Lots of different ways you can do it. You can use the YouTube live super chat, which is the $ below the bottom of the chat. You can also use Cashapp or PayPal, which is $MSMpodcastNetwork or MSMpodcastNetwork. It's a little past 10 o'clock. Do want to remind you, hey, look, we are running a CBS bracket pool. If you are interested in getting into the bracket pool, okay, there's a couple of things you need to do. First thing you need to do is you want to invite to the CBS bracket pool. You have to DM me your email. Okay. Make sure you figure out a way to DM me your email, and then I will send you an invite through CBS Sports, and you can do up to 3 brackets per email. Depending on how many brackets you want to do, depends on how many emails you'll get. Make sure for every bracket you want, it's $20 per bracket. Okay. The top 3 will pay out. If you DM me your email, I will send it back to you. You can PayPal the $20 or Cash App the $20, depending on how many brackets you want to do. 20, 40, 60. And if you want a Zelle, you can also do it that way too. We're not doing it through YouTube, just because YouTube takes out like 50%. So make sure y'all do that. It's a big deal. Hope y'all can get in on that. There's about 2 more hours left to get in. Brackets need to be set by noon. I believe the first game starts at noon, if I'm correct. I could be wrong about that. I think it's noon. Today's the 16th. Yeah, noon. So make sure y'all get them in by noon. Okay, awesome. Want to give a big shout out to our sponsors of the show, ZSM Sports. ZSM Sports is the #1 place to get your cards, jerseys, balls, and hard to find items. Make sure you guys follow ZSM Sports. Okay. Hangry Owls, good food, good mood, craft subs and salads. Make sure you give them a call at 305-279-5332. Vasasaur, the #1 place to get the best beer around the Miami area, local brewery, Vasasaur Brewing Company. They have a great, awesome beer called Born and Raised, a beer created for the fans, by the fans, the official beer of Clock Blockers. It's the Dolphins beer. It's awesome. Okay. Make sure you guys go check it out. And then a great place to sit.com. You guys need a place to sit to anything, concerts, sporting events, theater, whatever it is. A great place to sit.com is the place to go. And then last but not least is Tail Greeter. Okay. Make sure y'all follow Tail Greeter today. Download the app in your current Apple or Android device today. Okay. All right. Obviously, some signings happened in the last 12 hours. Nik Needham has come on board. Deshon Elliott has come on board. Lots of other people. We've had a couple offensive linemen signings this morning. Some want a re-signing, want a new signing. But today is the official day 2 of NFL free agency. We're going to get into that and much more. But as I do each and every Thursday, I bring in my co-host, my brother from another mother, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cameron 954.
Good morning, Steven. How are you?
Rough morning, man, but I'm here, man. I was up late last night for a lot of different reasons, but one of the reasons I was up late last night was watching that awesome Dominican Republic Puerto Rico game. Absolutely amazing atmosphere. You and I are big baseball fans. The World Baseball Classic been absolutely awesome, right?
It's been incredible, man. And that game ended around 9:30 or so, and it was crazy ending with Edwin Diaz suffering an injury that really dampened the whole spirit of the game. But and then watching the USA game, that ended about 1:30 a.m. Eastern, and they held on to win 3-2, which was a really good game against Colombia. So
I thought Colombia was going to pull it out. I was nervous there. I'm not going to lie. I was very nervous.
Listen, USA, for as stacked as they are on paper, haven't played a really good tournament so far. But I'll say conversely, like the baseball that's being played down in Miami has just been exhilarating and exciting. And then they start Friday with Cuba, first time ever playing in Miami, which is going to be absolutely bananas, playing Puerto Rico, I think, Friday night. And then USA plays Venezuela on Saturday. I believe that's what the schedule is.
First thing I want to say is you and I are big baseball fans, and we know that the game obviously has a lot of issues getting newer fans or the newer generation to obviously watch. The atmosphere for these games, especially down in Miami, by the way, have been just unbelievable. And that includes, like, I've watched everything from Chinese Taipei when they were hosting games. That atmosphere was, I watched the Cuba Chinese Taipei game, the full thing, and was just blown away with the atmosphere in Chinese Taipei. And then same thing for Japan, right? Japan obviously hosting some games too. They've been absolutely amazing, the atmosphere there. And then Miami with Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, just everybody that's come through there. The atmosphere, like last night, was that was a lot of fun to watch. And then, it hasn't been so much in Phoenix, but, there's been great baseball that's been going on there.
Yeah, and Mexico, their fans traveled heavily to Phoenix, and they've been lighting up the streets there. So it's been exciting all around. It's been exciting all around, man. But, just to touch on it briefly, there's a lot of going back and forth about, never letting your players play. And because of the Edwin Diaz injury last night, that's part of the game, unfortunately. And
for those of you who don't know, real quick, Cameron, what he's touching on is Puerto Rico won the game last night. And as they won the game, Edwin Diaz, who's the closer for the New York Mets, the one who plays the trumpet and has that awesome atmosphere, is celebrating with his teammates and hurts his leg and gets carted off the field in the celebration of the game. Go ahead. I wanted people to understand if they didn't watch.
No, and listen, and people, Mets fans, I understand your ire and your sadness and your disgust, and it's an unfortunate injury. Could have happened to any player. But I will say this, man. I think it's a little selfish to say that you shouldn't let players play for their country. There's no greater honor that any athlete, regardless of sport, has to achieve to wear the flag of your home country on your uniform and play against other players from other countries. And I think that's what every athlete aspires to be. As a fan, it sucks to see a player get injured. That's especially a player that's so key to your team and Major League Baseball. He's probably the most dominant closer out there right now, and most important closer to any team. But, to say that he shouldn't have played is just, it just falls on deaf ears to me because these players are so passionate and they've grown up in this atmosphere of representing their country since they were able to play ball, and to be able to do it on the greatest stage with your fellow countrymen playing against other fellow countrymen that you played with throughout your career or against, I think speaks to a little on deaf ears for me, man. It's unfortunate, but listen, he played in the game, and listen, he was injured celebrating. It wasn't even playing the game. So
wasn't even playing the game. It was one of those freak injuries. And I'll be perfectly honest, had he got hurt playing the game, I think there would have been less of an outcry than there was last night. He got hurt celebrating. A big Miami Dolphins fan out there, Frank the Tank from Barstool Sports, who's a huge Mets fan, he was going off last night on social media, along with a million other Mets fans. When you put in $100-200 million, into a contract with a guy and you're trying to make a World Series run, I get it. It's tough, right? Like, and especially in an independent, that has nothing to do with your,
but listen, Steven, do you say this about Messi going to play, for his country?
You don't. But so here's the thing. This is the argument that was said last night on social media. And whether you agree with it or not, I'm not saying I do one way or the other. People care about the World Cup. The World Cup is the biggest soccer event, football event in the world. It has been. It overplays, UEFA, MLS. It does not matter. Champions League, Italian League, whatever. Spain League, Spaniard League, whatever. It overtops all of the leagues, right? Baseball, nobody cares about the World Baseball Classic.
You're so wrong, bro. You are so wrong, and I'm going to stop you right there. Do you see every one of those fans fill it up? Do you know what the prices of the tickets were for last night's game?
I heard they were insane.
Almost $10,000. Down the third base line, $1,700. Upstairs, where no one ever sits in Marlins Park, $400. You're not telling me that people don't care about this game.
Well, look, I'm not saying I believe that, or I'm telling you what the argument was on social media last night, and I'm playing devil's advocate for the sake of the conversation. I agree with you. I think that the players do care, and I think fans care about playing for their country and playing for, look, I'm telling you, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, it's Americans who might not care as much, but I'm telling you, the players that are playing do, number one. And the fans that are watching all around the world definitely do. And,
and listen, the World Baseball Classic, I think, got started in 2006, if I'm not wrong.
2006 was the first World Baseball Classic.
World Cup has been going on for, 5, 6, 7, 8 decades, if not more.
And by the way, they have this issue, too, where players get hurt and then they're hurt for their teams. It happens. It's a freak accident. But it was funny because before the injury, you were even saying on Twitter last night, because I was following you on Twitter, man, the atmosphere of this game is absolutely electric. It's such a jump start to the season. This is great. This is great. There was not one negative thing you could say about the World Baseball Classic before this Edwin Diaz injury. And now the world has come apart if you're a baseball fan of Major League Baseball.
And listen, Freddie Freeman got injured playing. For Team Canada, he tweaked his hamstring. They say he may or may not be ready for the start of the season, but that's another player that got injured. But it's just much more impactful for the Mets specifically because of the severity of the injury and the importance that Edwin Diaz has for that team.
Red Horse Adventures says, where were the doctors, trainers? The players had to carry him off the field, and they found some random wheelchair somewhere. Pathetic response.
Hey, I'm not disagreeing with that. They were all they looked like they were unprepared for that moment for sure. That was kind of puzzling,
And then what was even more worse was Yadier Molina, longtime catcher for the St. Louis Cardinals, Hall of Famer, is in the press conference and just depressed. Like you could just see it on his face. He was hurting.
He spoke to why, not only was he hurting for his fellow countrymen and for a fellow baseball player, but he also understands like they just played the most exciting game of baseball to be played, since the World Series and certainly in the World Baseball Classic forever. And for this to happen just threw such a damper on all the excitement that have been building up for the World Baseball Classic to that point. And I think, and he touched on that afterwards, like he hated to see that for that reason also. Like so many fans were enjoying themselves, and then to have that black light put on the game, that sucked.
Fifth year B, I'm not going to say the word, said, good morning, Augustus Gloop. He said that yesterday. I was on the Finn's Tailgate yesterday, and that was the joke he had mentioned. That was pretty good. Thank you for the $2 donation. I was cussing up a storm yesterday. I went crazy yesterday, Cameron. I was unedited, unfiltered Steven yesterday on the afternoon.
I was hearing it, man. Like the swear jar is a thing of the past, I think.
No, it's still on the morning show. It's fair. It's here. Okay. All right. And I'm clock blocker Steve now. I'm not after hours Steve that I was last night on the Vince tailgate. All right, let's kind of switch gear. By the way, real quick, is there a matchup World Baseball Classic that you're looking forward to seeing now that and by the way, Dominican Republic is out. Like that team was stacked and now they're out. I was so surprised.
Dude, they were the odds-on favorite to win it all.
Is it the most disappointing baseball team ever?
Well, I mean, that's why you play the game, right? Like anything can happen. I mean, you had a Czech electrician striking out Ohtani. Like, how crazy is that? You know, that's why you play the game. And it's fun. So I'm interested to see if USA bounces back. I don't think they do. And I'm interested to see how far Mexico can go because they have some really
I can't believe how good they're playing.
They have some excellent pitching. Their pitching is amazing. And then Cuba playing in Miami. I want to see that crowd. I just was looking. That game is sold out. There's not a seat to be had.
Vin, are you going to go? Are you going to try to go?
I can't. I'm not going to go, and I don't want to spend $1,000 to go.
But so the atmosphere of that, if you're a baseball fan, is on. You'll never see an atmosphere like that in a Major League Baseball game ever. Well,
I mean, I don't want to say ever because you've seen some World Series games that are pretty amazing. What it does, though, show us is that there is such a devout, rabid, passionate baseball fan base in Miami.
That's what I wanted to get into.
Florida,
next. Yeah,
that the Marlins have failed to tap into.
Failed.
They're there.
Great fail.
They're waiting to be, ushered into that stadium with a winning team. With
these Venezuela fans, these Puerto Rico fans, Cuba fans. It's not like they're coming from there. They live in South Florida, in the surrounding Miami area. And all Twitter was saying throughout every game in Miami was, man, Marlins have never seen an atmosphere like this in this stadium. Man, how sad the Marlins, the home team, can't even compete with the crowds that are coming to this. It's an unbelievable atmosphere. What are the Marlins? Are the Marlins embarrassed? B, should they be? And C, what do they need to do to bring in an atmosphere like that there?
Are they embarrassed? I don't think so. I think they see what the opportunity they have, and I think it gives them more inspiration. I would hope to figure out ways to bring those fans to the stadium. And certainly you built that beautiful stadium right down there in downtown Miami. You got to figure out how to market to those fans and get them to the stadium on a regular basis because they have not done a good job of doing that.
They have not at all. Hey, one of the first semifinals obviously was today. Early this morning, Italy played Japan. Japan beating Italy 9-3. The next game in the World Baseball Classic is tomorrow at 7 p.m., where Mexico will be hosting Puerto Rico. I think that's at Marlins. That's in Miami. Tomorrow night's going to be crazy atmosphere, 7 p.m. That game's on FS1. And then Saturday, United States plays Venezuela. And I do believe that Venezuela is going to kill the U.S. But nonetheless, it's going to be a fun game to watch. And the atmosphere is going to be fun. And that game's at 7 p.m. And that game will be on Fox. And then Sunday, Cuba is going to face the winner of the Venezuela-United States game, I think. And so that'll be interesting, too, to see where that goes. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys check it out. Follow Cameron954 at Cameron954 because if you're a big baseball fan, he is always tweeting out baseball stuff and always down in there. I love your tweets about baseball, man. It's good stuff.
You know who doesn't love him?
Noob hates him. All right, let's switch gears real quick. Let's go to NBA talk just a little briefly before we get into all this NFL and Miami Dolphins chatter and free agency, which we're going to get right into here in a few. Look, we're coming down the stretch, 7 to 8 games left, depending, and about 2.5 weeks left of the regular season. Miami is currently sitting in the 7th seed, 38-33. They are 1 game back out of the 6th seed from Brooklyn, and they are 3 games back out of the 4th seed or the 5th seed from the New York Knicks. Where do you see Miami ending up? Last night they looked really good. They're finding their stride. Is it fair to say they're finding their stride? Is it fair to say they're starting to, or do you want to see another few games before you make your final?
I got to see another 3 or 4 games like they did last night for me to believe that this team can do anything in the playoffs. Because if they played like they did against Cleveland, with 28 turnovers, if they play against who they played the last game where they shot like 17% from 3-point land, if they continue to, they got to do what they do last night. And listen, for as much as we hated on Lowry, him returning this lineup has created a much different dynamic to this team. There's penetration, there's ball movement. Hero, is taking it to the hoop a little bit more often, which you want to see. So, I'm not a believer yet in this Heat team because they've just been too bipolar, right? So we'll see. I don't expect too much out of them, Steven.
All right, sorry about that.
No worries. But they did beat a Memphis team last night pretty handily. But Memphis, is in a disarray because of all the Ja Morant stuff. So that'll be an interesting storyline as that progresses too.
Question, I'm going through the East and I'm going through the West. You look at 7 through 10. I'm both of them, and 38 and 33 is 7, and 32 and 37 is 10. So look, Miami's probably going to make the playoffs no matter what way you look at it. But you go into the West, it's 35 and 35 is 7, and 34 and 36 is 10, being the Lakers, by the way. And then 5 and 6, they're only 2 games out in front of both. When you get into the top 4, there seems to be a significant jump in win-loss record. Can any of the teams in 5th place or below make a run at this thing? Or is it going to be the top 4 teams are probably going to end up being there at the end? And both conferences.
That's a good question. If the Heat play like they did last night and play consistent defense, they're one of the better defensive teams. They absolutely can make a run to the Eastern Conference Championships. But everything has to go right for them, right? And
it has to go perfect.
And they have to catch, Boston, Milwaukee, something bad's got to happen to them, like an injury or just, a streak of cold shooting. But it's possible. I think they're on the outside looking in, but they're probably the better of the second-tier teams.
I agree with you. Real quick, just ultimately, does LeBron come back? And where do you see the Lakers finishing?
Who cares?
I wanted to know what you thought. All right.
I don't think, honestly, I don't think he comes back in the first round if they make it past the first round. And if he does come back, his effectiveness won't be as great as what they need him to be. And so the Lakers are in a precarious position of having to rely on Anthony Davis to carry this team.
I know, that's crazy.
Which he can, but he hasn't shown that he's been able to do it for the past few years.
Sean says, if you can't win in the East, shouldn't be in the league, send him to the G Leagues. SY says, have no fear, Heat fans. Embiid might demand a trade to reunite for Butler after the 76ers lose in the playoffs. Well, Cameron said this a couple of weeks ago on the show. Don't be surprised if, Jimmy Butler's on the trade block for the Heat.
I think if they make an early first round and embarrassing exit, there's going to be a lot of changes to the team. That said, Jimmy Butler's proven like he can carry a team still. So, how much do you rely on that, or do you trade him while his value is still good to another team like Milwaukee, or maybe he goes back to Philadelphia, or maybe a team like Dallas, could use a third person, on the wing. I don't know. It's truly speculation, but I don't see Butler's time in Miami lasting if they don't make another strong push. That's just me.
It will be interesting. All right, real quick, let me just get into this before we get in. March Madness starts today. A, are you excited? B, is there any particular team you're going to look at? And where do you see Miami ending up? Jim Laranaga's team, obviously having a lot of success in the regular season. Couldn't quite pull off the ACC tournament, lost to a good team in the ACC tournament. But, where do you see University of Miami ending up in the tournament? And for those of you who are interested, we are doing a bracket poll. If you're interested, put it in the chat, and I will send you the information on what you need to do to get in the bracket poll. It's $20 per bracket, up to 3 brackets per email. Go ahead, Cameron.
So I'm filling out my bracket right now as we're talking. But Miami, I see them beating Drake. Drake's a really, really good team, and they've won 14 of their past 15 games. They're coming into the tournament really hot, and that's their first round matchup. That said, Miami is a senior-led team. They've run through the ACC regular season. They've got one of the better coaches. They're disciplined. They have point guard play. They have big man play. Although their center got injured, twisted his ankle, and if he is limited in any sense, that really puts a damper on Miami and their ability to make a deep run. That said, if they get past Drake and Indiana gets past Kent State, those two games are some of the best matchups in all of the first round, because Kent State's been on a hot streak. They have really good outside shooting. Indiana's an exceptionally talented team, but they're young and maybe a year away from making a deep run. But if Indiana and Miami play each other in that second round, that's going to be a good game. And I'm from Indiana. I went to Indiana University. I follow them devoutly. I'm a Bobby Knight, fan. But I love the Hurricanes, and I love Jim Larinaga. So I'm excited for that second round matchup if that happens.
First game today starts at 12:15. West Virginia and Maryland. Me living up in Maryland, let me tell you, people are pretty excited about that game here, just because they're kicking off the tournament. I do want to say this: I am so excited that they've got rid of the play-in games. I never liked the play-in games, and I'm glad that they got rid of them. And I'm just perfectly excited about that, because they used to have 4 play-in games the night before to see who would be like an 11 seed or a 16 seed or whatever. But I'm glad they got rid of that. But I am excited today. A lot of great matchups today. Any 15 seeds beating 2, any 16 seeds beating a 1. Any upsets today?
Listen, Vermont's a good team. UNC Asheville's good teams, but Vermont plays Marquette. Man, that's a tough matchup. UCLA is the number 2 seed in the West. They play UNC Charlotte's a 15 seed. Don't see that happening.
Texas is it Texas Christian? Is that the 16 seed playing Alabama, or what? Who's playing? It's Texas A&M. Corpus Christi. It's Corpus. Yeah. They're Corpus playing Christi. Corpus Christi. They're playing Alabama.
Alabama. Alabama's interesting, right?
Avery Johnson.
Alabama. Avery Johnson's not there.
Is he not the head coach there anymore? I still thought he was the head coach there.
No, it's the former NBA's head Musselman. His son's the coach. But anyway, all this, bad negative press, with the gun thing and the murder surrounding,
I know that's so crazy, that whole thing.
Just this morning, a 4th player on that team got indicted. Like, it's crazy. All these players are still playing.
They're all playing in the tournament.
Yes.
And there's not an uproar. Like, there is a small uproar in the community, but not a huge one, and definitely not anywhere in Alabama. They love, Alabama's straight supporting all these kids, all of them, every last one of them.
Big time. So anyway, Alabama's a really good team, and I think they make a deep run. But I haven't filled that part of the bracket out yet.
Northern Kentucky facing number 1 Houston. That's another 16 seed beating a 1. Only one time in the history has a 16 seed ever beat the 1, and I think 2 or 3 times has a 15 seed beat a 2. Princeton facing Arizona today. That'll be interesting. But always Colgate is facing Texas. 15 seed beating a 2. But 12 seeds always upset a 5 seed. And, the one that really sticks out for me today is Oral Roberts and Duke. I think Duke I'm not sold on Duke, and a 12 seed every year beats a 5 seed.
That's the one for me too. Or I put Oral Roberts in as the winner. Like I seriously think they beat Duke, and it's not even going to be close. Like Duke is not a good team.
The Beer Guy Corp says, shout out to the Beer Guy, says Duke will lose to Oral Roberts. That'll make my day. I'll be happy with everything that happens there. Hey, look, again, one last time, I just want to remind you all, if y'all are interested in, filling out a bracket and being part of the Clock Blockers Fantasy Football League, bracketology. I don't know why I said Fantasy Football League. We're running a bracket pool on CBS this year. The brackets need to be set at noon. They need to be set at noon. Okay. So in about an hour and 20 minutes. If you're interested, it's $20 per bracket. Send me the money via PayPal or Cash App. I also have Zelle if you're interested on that. But you need to DM me your email so I can invite you right now. I have the page open. Right now, I'll be honest with you, we got 7 people filling that are in the brackets. You need to send me your email again because you paid money yesterday to get into the bracket. So we'll have
texted it to you this morning.
Okay. All right. Well, you'll get it here momentarily so that you can fill it out. So we have 8 people in the bracket right now, $20 per bracket, and the top 3 will pay out. So I'm pretty excited about that. That'll work out. So, I mean, I'd love to get, 10 or 12 more people in it. So if you guys are interested, give me all your information. It's going to be good stuff. Okay. You see it right here. DM me your email, send me the money on Cash App or PayPal, and we'll get you going here. I'd love to get some more people in that bracket. It'll be a lot of fun.
Steve, I mentioned, second round possibility between Miami and Indiana, but the other one that I'm really looking forward to also involves a South Florida team, and that's FAU. FAU, will beat Memphis in the first round. And if Purdue gets past Texas Southern, it matches up the 2 tallest centers in college basketball at FAU and Purdue, which is a really, really interesting matchup. These two are both athletic, 7'3" and 7'4", I think, guys. That FAU has tremendous guard play and defense. They shoot the ball very well. Purdue, is the number 1 team in the country, give or take, throughout the year. FAU is 31-3. Man, it is going to be a hell of a matchup in that second round, and fun to watch because FAU is the underdog. Nobody's been talking about them all year, but they're 31-3 and they've beaten some really, really good teams. Do I think FAU beats Purdue? I don't, but I think it's a really cool matchup to see those 2 players play against each other.
Look, definitely am interested in getting more people signed up for this bracket. So it's $20 per bracket. Come on, guys, get in where you fit in. It'll be a lot of fun. Want to see more people get in on it. All right, man. Let's transition to football. Yesterday, we'll just talk about some of the big name free agents that obviously went to a team. The big one for me that happened late last night was Orlando Brown Jr. The one that I hope, look, I know it was a pipe dream, the Dolphins going after him, but he ends up signing with the Cincinnati Bengals for a buttload of money. But I will say the way that it turned out, as far as money is concerned, I think it only ended up costing them, if you look at the books or the scheme of things, $16 million a year for the best blindside tackle in the league. Arguably.
I think he got 32 or 36 million up front as a signing bonus.
Yeah.
That one really stuck me. And I'll say this, just a blanket statement for me, as good as the offseason and Greer has been, especially with the Jalen Ramsey trade and not having to give up too much for him. I'm puzzled that this team hasn't gone out and gotten another starting tackle that's tried and proven. They made a couple signings for backup, depth type guys this morning. Garon Christian, who was on the team last year, Dan Feeney, who was with the Jets past 2 years and hasn't missed a game. Those don't, for me, instill confidence in this offensive line. And if we're going to run it back with Eichenberg and Jackson, man, it doesn't make me feel good, right?
I mean, look, yesterday, Eric Saubert signing a 1-year deal coming from Denver. Didn't play a lot of snaps, but when he did, they ran the ball. He's a decent block. He's a really good blocking tight end. He's arguably the best blocking tight end we now have on our roster. With that being said, we only had 2 other tight ends currently on our roster. Bringing in Dan Feeney, and re-signing, who's the other guard that we re-signed this morning too? Or the other offensive lineman. Yep.
Jerron Christian was this morning, and then Kendall Lamb, I think, was yesterday.
Kendall Lamb was yesterday. Look, I said I wanted the Dolphins to address it. Didn't have to be a big guy, like big name person. If I'm honest with you, have I heard of Dan Feeney? Not really, right? Like, I hadn't really heard of him. I went back and looked at his stats. Nothing to really, oh my God, this guy's great. No, but ultimately they did bring in somebody else to compete. And I said at minimum, just bring in one new person. And they did. But I don't know if that's enough. And currently right now as stands, I think they have 10 offensive linemen on staff, and you're probably only going to keep 8 or 9. So what are the odds that they go out and get another big-time offensive lineman? Maybe. It still could happen, but I don't know it's going to be anybody of significant value.
Greer has said, like, listen, Jackson Eichenberg are his guys, and they're going to give them time to develop, and he believes in them. And at this point, you got to believe what Greer says, right? Like, he had the opportunity to go sign Brown. He had the opportunity to go sign McGlinchey. He had the opportunity to sign the guy from what's his name? Ben Mason. And then there's 2 guys that got second-round tenders last year that would come relatively cheap, as a second-round draft pick swap. The guy from Green Bay and I can't remember the other one, but still, there's quality guys out there that we perceive as improvements over our current roster in the offensive line that are available. And
meanwhile, the team that we all think could finish last in the AFC East, they did pretty good over the last day or two on the offensive side of the ball, or at least offensive guard. James Ferentz, Calvin Anderson, Riley Reif, all signed with the Patriots. I would have loved to have, honestly, any one of the 3 of those guys to come to Miami.
The fact that they paid Juju Schuster $33 million for 3 years is awesome. I can't wait for Belichick.
I think they're reaching. I think they wanted to do anything they could to say that they were improving. And here's, I got to be honest with you. I think that they're going to go after Gesicki. I think they're going to go after Gesicki. My personal opinion of that.
And that's the rumor, right? Gesicki's visiting up there, but does Gesicki sign with the Patriots?
He's not the only one. Van Ginkel allegedly is visiting up there now too.
Well, you don't blame Van Ginkel, right? He could get paid a lot more. They've already told him, he's not in their long-term plans. They've brought in other linebackers. They're going to draft a linebacker more, you'd think. So, and Van Ginkel has produced when he's been on the field, but he's only seeing 30 snaps a game.
Yeah, exactly. For those of you who want to know a little bit more about this Dan Feeney guy, he did start against us in the last week of the season.
He didn't miss a start in the past 2 years. So
he didn't also start a lot. I mean, last season he started twice. The season before that he started 5 times. But the 3 seasons before that with the Chargers, 18, 19, and 20, he started all 16 games and played in all 16 games, right? So he was healthy the last 2 years with the Jets. The Jets thought he was going to be somebody that was going to compete for a starting gig, and he didn't start. They ended up bringing in people or found, a talent elsewhere. But the 3 years before that with the Chargers, he started 3 years in a row, all 16 games, and he wasn't hurt the last 2 years. So the one thing you can say about this guy is, well, he's not the Greer hurt, reach that, he tries to go after guys who have an injury history but great talent. This guy, not necessarily a great talent, but no injury history. What are you going to do?
Say that about you and I.
That's true. But, I'm not saying I have great talent and I do get injured a lot. So
so here's the comparison. We view ourselves, if the Dolphins, let's say, view themselves as AFC East contenders. Look at Cincinnati and what they're doing. Look at the Chiefs and what they're doing. They're investing in their offensive line and sparing no expense to do so because they have franchise quarterbacks to protect.
Why are the Dolphins not doing it?
We say that Tua is our franchise quarterback, and yet we're signing depth guys and hoping our draft pick from 4 years ago and 3 years ago are going to pan out. Does that instill confidence to you?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I got to be honest with you. You know, I've said, look, I'm very happy with the offseason that we've had, but we need to address the O-line in a significant way, even if it's one big signing or a couple of, you know, depth piece signings. Now, Dan Feeney, I guess you can argue that the Dolphins addressed an offensive line issue, but unless Greer McDaniel sees something in this guy that nobody else around the NFL is seeing, and I don't think the odds of that are being really good, to be perfectly honest with you. I am very nervous about why. I'm nervous on a couple of fronts. I'm nervous as to why they think they don't need to address the offensive line issue more, because it makes me think, are you happy with what's currently in-house? Are you okay with it? Do you think that it's going to compete? And then I hate to put this conspiracy theory out there, Cameron, but I think it's warranted to at least ask the question. If you and I think, and a lot of other fans think, that they need to go after the O-line and in significant detail in addressing it, whether you're pro Tua or anti Tua, whether you're pro Chris Greer or anti Chris Greer, we all think that, right? By them not making that, and I've straight up said that Greer's, he's smart. He's a smart guy. Are they pulling the wool over our eyes because they're just trying to put a Band-Aid over some real issues and just appeasing a fan base with certain signings and saying, hey, look, we're doing this? Or do they really believe that they're going to be fine with what they have in-house? And if that's the case, why shouldn't we question that? Because there's an issue there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we have seen these players not play well for 3 years now, like Jackson. And granted, him and Igbenamidi were the youngest players drafted in their respective drafts. And you got to get these guys time to develop. But if you're putting these guys in positions, of importance and they haven't produced already, what gives you any inclination that they're going to produce moving forward? Like, I understand there's development to be had, and we've seen development from other players, but is Jackson showing us any sort of development at all?
Breaking news, Landon Roberts signing a 2-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It's probably
Landon Roberts is gone. I know Von Joe is celebrating somewhere right now. His favorite player's gone.
Well, the writing was on the wall when we, David Long was traded for or signed as a free agent. And Long's a better version of Roberts. But man, Landon Roberts did some good things. He's a thumper and he'll fit well in that Pittsburgh defense.
Yeah, it definitely will. And it always scares me when Pittsburgh sees somebody on defense and it ends up being a former player of yours. And you're like, man, their defenses are perennially decent, really good. And if they see something in a player, what did we miss out on? What did we just, FOMO, fear of missing out there? I get, he had to go and he got a better opportunity somewhere else, but we'll definitely see. All right, moving forward, are the Dolphins going to do anything else on the O-line, or is that the only move you think they're going to make? Because at the moment they have 10 offensive linemen under contract. Do they make another move, or is this it? Are they done?
Well, it tells me that they're going to draft somebody, with that 51, or if not move up to draft somebody.
At the O-line?
I think so.
I'm not sold on that. You still have to address the tight end situation.
Do you?
I mean, they went out and got this guy, from Denver Broncos. And he still got Durham Smythe, and he still have Tanner Connor, right? And we know last year they had 5 tight ends under contract. Alec Ingold played a lot from the tight end position last year.
You don't call him though.
Huh?
You don't call him a tight end.
I understand that. But you got to think that if they had 5 tight ends last year, they're probably going to have at minimum 4. So there's probably room still for one more tight end on this roster. And you still got money in free agency. You still have to renegotiate some contracts. You can still find a way to get some money. So where's it going to? Because in my opinion, there's only so much you can spend on 1 second and 1 third round pick anyway. And those guys aren't even guaranteed to start, or for that matter, probably even make the 53. They probably will. But, you got to be very calculated in what's going to happen with those positions. You need, some depth at linebacker. It's always good to, draft young guy. Look, we could still go after a young running back. There's 13 running backs with a grade 3rd round or higher that, we're going to get into next Tuesday. But I don't know if the Dolphins make any more big moves. I think they're done making big moves. And I don't know where they go with the 2 picks.
I don't think they're done making big moves. I hold out hope that they're going to sign a free agent that's a starter caliber free agent, or trade for one on the offensive line, whether that's center or right tackle. I really think that, you saw Myles Gaskin get re-signed last night. So their running back room is full. And they go the undrafted free agent route. I don't think they draft the running back now. I think they do draft a tight end. I do think they draft an offensive lineman. And you got to understand too, like Cedric Wilson's still under contract on this roster. Trent Sherfield is in limbo. River Craycraft is in limbo. They have the kid from Mississippi Jalen Sanders, and they got Eazy-E, who, they like both of those players. So, do the move away from Craycraft and Sherfield. I think Sherfield was probably the most important wide receiver on the team because he was the safety net for Tua, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he always came through. He played that role well. He played special teams. He's a downfield blocker. I think Sherfield proved his worth. Whether he can get, starter money elsewhere, that's up to him, to figure out. But I really think that Sherfield belongs back on this team, and I would try to find a taker for Cedric Wilson. And we mentioned Braxton Berrios yesterday. I would love to see, the opportunity given to him to return kicks and provide, like a slot receiver type of person on this team, because he's showing he can play well in this league. But I do think Sanders and Eazy-E are 2 players that will get a better look this year in training camp. So it comes back down to...
I thought Cedric Wilson was out the door. If you had asked me 72 hours ago, Cedric Wilson was going to get traded. Now, I'm not so sure.
I mean, they invested a lot into him last year, by getting him. So if they even if it's a 6th round draft pick, I would take that for Cedric Wilson.
There's still some names out there. 2 guys I want to talk about in particular. That why wouldn't the Dolphins go? Actually, there's 3 names I want to talk about. 2 of them are kind of a package deal. The Dolphins still need to go get another wide receiver or 2 to add to the roster, right? We all agree with that. And that's probably going to come in the form of free agency in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a veteran or young guy, somebody's practice squad player to get a chance to compete. They did claim Freddie Swain off of waivers yesterday from the Denver Broncos. But there's 2 guys that kind of come of a package deal. Fellow podcasters, bussing with the boys, Will Compton and Taylor Lewan, that have publicly stated they still want to play, they still can play, and they think that if they can go to, a Super Bowl contender, that they can instantly make that team a little bit better. What do you think about Will Compton and Taylor Lewan? I feel like they wouldn't cost that much. It would be, I feel like they would be a perfect fit down here in Miami, and they would add to the wide receiver room, and Taylor Lewan would be low risk, high reward on the offensive line room.
Let me go back and ask you this. Robert Hunt played right tackle 2 years ago, correct?
Yes.
So why not move him back out there where he played really well?
mean, you can definitely do that. I mean, that's possible. 100% possible.
Austin Jackson played guard that same year, and he played pretty well. So I just don't understand, like, the fixation on trying to make Austin Jackson a player he might not be. And to go back to your question, so if you bring in Compton or Taylor Lewan, are they that better than Jackson or Eichenberg?
Lewan is low risk, high reward. He has a big upside if he can stay healthy.
If he can stay healthy, at least Jackson stays healthy.
I think he's worth bringing in. I think if you brought in Taylor Lewan, you have to add to the wide receiver room by one or two players anyway. So we know.
I don't think Compton and Lewan are your answers, right? Like they're not the type of players that this offensive line needs. Like, we need upgrades from what we currently have. Compton and Lewan are not upgrades from what we currently have.
All right, look, as a podcaster, I want to see those guys. I want to see Bussin' with the boys with the Dolphins, okay? I want to see it.
Maybe he can co-host with you then. That's his fucking value to this place. Like, seriously. Like, he's not going to come in and start 17 games and solidify and anchor the right tackle position. Come on, Steven. I can slap you over the screen now.
Well, and maybe that's the sad point about Dolphins fans, that we're like, we will reach for anything to get a better opportunity at the O-line, because Taylor Lewan's the guy I want. I could care less about Will Compton. Taylor Lewan is the guy that I want, just for the simple fact that I am reaching for anything to have a better offensive line. I just want to have a better offensive line. I'm willing to go to Taylor Lewan for it.
And listen, Lewan's not the answer. Like I said before, and I'm going to have to do my research now. These guys that got tendered, the Green Bay Packers second round tender, he's a right tackle that got tendered 2 days ago. That's somebody you look for. Maybe it's in the form of a trade.
Well, look, there's a third person that I'm very surprised has not been picked up yet. He was released by the Tennessee Titans a couple days ago. Starting center Ben Folds. I feel like I would love to see him here. You get to move Connor back to left guard. Ben Folds, there at the center position. He's got a long history of success. Starting all games, no injuries. Ben Folds, to me, if the Dolphins were to go out and make Ben Folds as their starting center and move Connor back to guard, then all you have to do is worry about the right tackle position. And I'm going to be like, all right, let's go. I'm ready.
I don't understand your fixation on moving Connor Williams off the position that he excelled at last year.
Every time he snapped the ball last year from the shotgun position, I held my breath. Every time.
I'm sure he doesn't care. Neither does Chris Greer care if you pass out from holding your breath.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, as a blocker, genius. Love the guy. Think he's one of the best pass blockers in the NFL. Okay? I'm glad he's on our offensive line. But he is a guard. He is not a true center. I would rather
you are what your tape tells you are. He was the best center this team has had since Pouncey.
That's not saying much.
We've had
some trash centers.
He was really good at the position last year. So why are you going to disrupt that position? Unless you draft or bring in somebody better, like, that's not going to happen.
Bro, I'm telling y'all right now, if I have a chance to bring in somebody like Ben Folds, I'm 100% doing it and making it happen.
Listen, but what's that going to cost you?
Why isn't he signed somewhere else already? I feel that's the other part. I'm like, why isn't he signed somewhere else? Is there something wrong? But so all right, so timeout. Are you saying that you are okay with what the offensive line currently looks like as is?
No, I'm absolutely not.
So then I've given you options, not great ones. Taylor Lewan, taking a chance on him, going out and getting a free agent like Ben Folds, somebody, who can come in here and make a difference day one. Who do you have in mind, Cameron, that the Dolphins should 100% consider?
Listen, they didn't consider Orlando Brown. They didn't consider McGlinchey. They didn't consider Ben Mason. The other second-round tender was the guy from who I think could fit into this scheme very well is Justin Steele, the offensive lineman from Dallas that got the second-round tender. Move Hunt to right tackle like you did before. Like, he played well out there. I don't see the issue. And I think they draft an offensive lineman. Like, I think they draft. And Ritter's right. We're going in circles. Like, Grier is telling us straight up, like, this is what I want. I want Eichenberg and Jackson to pan out.
I don't think the answer is in the draft in the second round or third round for an offensive line. And and you and I can agree we're not happy with the current offensive line as is. And we have no idea what Dan Feeney's going to be. But I can tell you right now, he hasn't been much where he's gone. So why am I thinking that he's going to be more here? Maybe the offensive line, Butch Berry sees something in him and McDaniel sees something in him that nobody else has seen. But I'm not holding my breath. So,
listen, Connor Williams, the year before he came here with Dallas, was like the most penalized guard in the league. He comes in and plays center. He does a really good job. He limits his penalties, his turnovers. He calls a good game. The offensive thrived, with him at center. You don't move off that. You've got somebody who's really stable in Hunt. You've got Teron Armstead. You got to keep him on the field. Your wild cards are Jackson and Eichenberg. So you do what you can to upgrade at that position, whether it's guard or right tackle, right? Whether you do so in the draft, you identify somebody in the draft that can come in and start. There's a kid from TCU. His name is Avila. I would think you could check him out. He's going to be available at 51.
Can he start day one? Can he start week 1?
100% he can start day one.
Okay.
And if you coach up these guys the correct way, absolutely can start day one.
We've been talking about coaching up offensive linemen for 10 years, Cameron.
Dude, the best offensive lineman coach we had still does fucking cocaine. So,
he's still in the NFL as the 49ers offensive line coach.
Exactly. So don't tell me we can't coach him up.
Chris Forrester, please.
Chris Forrester. Listen, until Jackson and Eichenberg prove us wrong, we're always going to have this conversation. And it's such a vital, important part to this team that it really leads us to be question what Grier is doing. And that's fair because it hasn't panned out to this point up, and 100% mission number one for this team is to keep QB1 Tua upright and healthy, because we all know this team is a much different team with Tua healthy versus Skyler versus White or Bridgewater. There's no debating that. So you have to invest in the offensive line. You invested in Armstead last year. That was great. You invested in Connor Williams. That was great.
So let me play devil's advocate here, okay? If the Dolphins do not address the offensive line in the draft for whatever reason, okay? What am I to say to people as a fan who's been defending Chris Grier through thick and thin? I don't know if I can defend him after that if he does not address the O-line in the draft. And he hasn't in free agency. And we all agree that what do I do? What do I do when the fans start coming after me about Chris Grier? Because I'm going to have to take that L because I don't know if I can defend him on something like that.
I totally agree. Like, you can't defend him. And when I say coaching him up, like, it hasn't worked so far with Jackson and Eichenberg or Dieter, who they didn't even re-sign. So what gives us pause that they're going to be better this year? And that was my point about coaching them up. Like, I'm not confident in their ability to do so. And that's what I made the comment about Chris Forrester. We haven't had a good offensive line coach since then. We haven't had a good offensive line since then.
So is it fair? Do I have to take it on the chin when a fan comes up to me and says, Steven, that's what it is. He's a bad GM because he does not do what he needs to do to A, bring in talent on the offensive line, B, develop talent on the offensive line, or C, even go out and get talent on the offensive line, especially when you're shoving, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Don't kill me for this take because I am a Tua fan. When he's shoving Tua down our throats as the guy that's going to be the person to take us to the next level, why are you not investing in the O-line to protect him?
That's exactly what I'm saying, man. And it's not panic mode. It's just reality. It's like, like for all the good things Greer has done in bringing talent to this team, and he did sign Armstead and Connor Williams, but we still have holes. And if he's telling us he believes in Jackson and Eichenberg, that doesn't make us feel good. And that's the reality of the situation. It's not panic. It's just skepticism because we haven't been proven otherwise.
It'll definitely be interesting to see where it goes from there. I'll say this. 24 hours ago, 12 hours ago, I was like, you know what? The Dolphins are probably going to go get 2 more, maybe 3 offensive linemen. Well, this morning they go out and re-sign Jerron.
They did. They got 3 offensive linemen.
But it was not the guys I wanted in any way, shape, or form. And I was dead set yesterday to a lot of people on the Fins Tailgate, even on my show. Dolphins are going to be fine. They're going to go out and they're going to be aggressive with a couple more guys and they're going to be of quality. And, I look at somebody like Dan Feeney. Don't get me wrong. I love the guy's mullet. He's got a great hairstyle, but I don't know if he's the guy that's going to save the offensive line. And Jerron is in that same boat too. And I don't know. And I don't believe in offensive line starting help unless you're in the first round and in the top 20 picks. I've never felt that any offensive lineman in the second or third round can significantly help your team moving forward. And there's no reason for me to think with having 9 offensive linemen in 10 years, or offensive line coach in 10 years, for me to think that we can develop talent at that position because we haven't done it at all. And so I'm right now going to be skeptic. I know I'm always, positive. And right now I can admit I'm freaking out a little bit. I do not like this offensive line. And I don't know how I can pitch it to a fan base that half of them are dead set on the court that the quarterback we have, it doesn't matter the moves, and the other half loves them and are saying, look at all the signings after. But if you can't keep them upright and you expect Mike White and Skylar Thompson to then play, there's a side of me that has to listen to the conspiracy theory of, are they just putting this out there because they truly want to go after somebody else and they can't do it right now? And so, they can't, by making these moves for Jalen Ramsey and Tyreek Hill over the last 2 years, they're just appeasing a fan base. And I hated hearing that, but maybe in the last couple of hours, in the last 12 hours, maybe I can buy into it a little bit.
Now you're trying to convince yourself.
I am, man. And it bothers me. It straight up bothers
you because we want to be overwhelmed with confidence in the moves that this team makes to make this team better. And when we're talking about the offensive line, we haven't been given that confidence. And that's the bottom line. Sucks.
It does, man, because 12 hours ago, I was in it. 8 hours ago, I was in a much different place. I was very excited signing Nik Needham. I think we have the best secondary in the entire NFL. It's not even debatable. Can't even compete with our secondary. I think we probably have the best wide receiving core in the NFL.
We have 2 of the top wide receivers. We need wide receivers 3 through 5 or 6 to be solidified for us to say that. It's not the wide receiving room to me is top heavy, right? Tyreek and Waddle.
But after that is a huge drop-off.
Yeah, you don't have any confidence in Cedric Wilson if he stays. You don't know what's happening with Sherfield or Craycraft. And then you got Braylon Sanders.
Ezra was a big question mark, too, because he was a healthy.
That's what I'm saying. You got Easy and Braylon Sanders after that, or who rookies who didn't get much playing time at all last year. So where's your confidence in the wide receiving room after Waddle and Hill? And we're lucky those guys, primarily stayed injury-free last year.
Yeah, it's very rare that happens. And knock on wood, I hope it happens again this year. It'll be interesting to see what happens from that standpoint, too. Somebody else who wants to jump into the conversation, talk a little bit of O-line and a couple of other things. And I hope he's been listening to how skeptical I've been, because he knows I'm a very positive guy. He knows I've been very excited over the last few days. And now all of a sudden, maybe in the last 12 hours, my feelings have shifted, and I need him to help me get back on board. Ladies and gentlemen, Finn's take with CB83.
Hey, give me a hug, bud.
What's up, CB83?
What's up, Cam?
What's up,
What's
man?
going on? What's up with y'all guys, man?
He's trying to not have me talk off.
Is he talking you off the ledge? Is he talking you off
I
the
hope
ledge?
he is. He's not doing a good job. He's telling me to jump, actually. He's telling me, go off the ledge. You should feel this way. You should feel
no parachute.
Hey guys, first of all, let's look at our offensive line situation. Last year, was it due to like inconsistencies with health, or was it just they were bad overall? Let's break it down real quick. What do you guys think? Was it health, or was it they were bad?
Are we talking about Eichenberg and Jackson specifically?
No, we're talking about the whole offensive line. Let's talk about it as a whole.
I think if Teron Armstead was able to be healthy for an entire year and play every snap and be a part of 95% of the offensive snaps, I think this offensive line would have looked 10 times better.
But that's a fair assessment. But listen to what you're saying. Like Teron Armstead hasn't played a full schedule in 6 years. So why are we expecting him to do so now when he's later in his age? That's
a fair assessment, right? So I agree with that wholeheartedly. So I think we gotta have depth behind these guys that's better. Like I feel like we've got to have depth that's better. I don't feel like
Dan Feedy's not it, CB. Dan Feedy is not it.
We don't know that though. Honestly, we don't know that.
Go look at his numbers.
We don't know
that he's not. So no, honestly, so he was a starting guard with the Chargers for multiple years, right?
Yep, and started 60, and the last 2 years with the Jets, he hasn't started. But
so he was in a backup role. He was in a backup role. Now, guys being in backup roles could be better than these starters we have. Like, let's be completely honest with you.
That makes me feel even worse, CB.
Hey, honestly, it shouldn't, because our offensive line can't get much worse in some spots. Like Liam Eichenberg, he's bad. We know that. Austin Jackson isn't as bad. I think he's more athletic, fits the scheme a little bit better. But I think Dan Finney's going to come in and be an upgrade over Eichenberg right now. I think that's a positive. Like, that's something who I could look forward to. Like Dan Finney coming in and being an upgrade as opposed to Eichenberg. And when we really look at it, I think Mike McDaniels has to help the offensive line a little bit more. If you commit to the run game a little bit more and you say, hey, we're going to run the ball a little bit more, we're going to keep these guys on their toes, make sure they're jumping off the ball, getting after guys, it helps them when it comes to pass pro.
Okay, so
I feel like
I'm going to play
devil's advocate. I think play calling has a lot to do with that.
I'm going to play devil advocate here with you, CB. By the way, Shake Money says, I agree with Lewis. Welcome to the Wolfpack, Cam. Your seat is waiting. Scott Paulus says, making a trade for top quality right tackle with another team is our only option now, be it draft picks or a player or bundle of all the dead weight.
I don't disagree with you one bit, Scott.
Let me play devil advocate here for you, CB83. You're sitting here trying to sell me on the fact we're running it back with the running backs that we had last year. I'm not arguing with that, but I said if you're going to do that, you better upgrade the O-line. Well, 12 hours ago, I was like, all right, look, you told me that. Dolphins are probably going to sign 2 or 3 more offensive linemen. Guess what happened 12 hours later? They signed 2 more offensive linemen. They re-signed somebody who had no business being on the team last year, and they signed them back again.
Depth pieces. That's all they're doing. So they're signing guys, but hey,
who the hell is Dan Feeney?
But you're also 2 days into free agency, and
But
the Dolphins have stop. No,
dude. How many CB? Listen, bud. How many offensive linemen are going to be on this team? 8 or 9, right?
No, probably closer to 10.
Okay, you currently have 10 offensive linemen on staff, and you're going to bring in undrafted free agents. I get that.
You're gonna bring in guys. You're gonna create competition. Even if you got 15 guys in the room, you're gonna take the best 10.
But to be fair to the people that were telling me this yesterday, and I tried to say no, but now I'm starting to see it. Hey, look, guys have come off the building, or come off the board already on the free agent side that could significantly help your team day one.
Honestly, I think Mike McDaniels has a plan in place. I don't think he needs
great
offensive linemen.
Let me know, please.
I don't think you look. I don't think you need great offensive linemen. I don't think you need to spend a lot of money on offensive line. I just don't think that's the case.
Offensive line. Say that.
I don't think you need. I said you don't need great players. I said you don't need great players. You don't have to spend a lot of money on great players. You don't have to go after big names on the offensive line. You can go thrifty and get some guys that are serviceable. Like a lot of the guys, a lot of the guys that we had come in and play in key moments were not names at all. These are guys we picked up off the street, and they were serviceable, and we made it happen. We just went toe-to-toe with the Buffalo Bills, and we had a bunch of no-name guys in there. I don't think you need great
Brandon Shell
offensive line. I don't think you need great offensive linemen.
Let's get some straight. I was okay with Brandon Shell re-signing him, and even Kendall Lamb. I was like, I like him as a
Tua's the difference. Tua will be the difference. If Tua stays healthy, this offensive line will go as they need to go.
And you just gave me the argument, CB, or Cameron did, about Teron Armstead. Like, we know he hasn't played a full season yet. Why are we thinking that now? You agreed with him. Why are we having a different energy for Tua on that? Why are we keeping the same energy?
Look. Tua, his first year, played all games, was taken out in some games, and that's the reason he didn't.
Tua has yet to play a full season healthy. Point blank. He has.
He played his first season healthy.
No, he did not.
He played the whole damn season.
He didn't play enough to get hurt. How about that? Fine.
He played 10 games his first season.
Okay.
So what do you want me to say? I mean, he played 10 games.
You're not selling look, it's so funny that my attitude has totally shifted in the last 12 hours because
I'm not worried about the offensive.
Flip-flopper.
That's the last thing I'm worried about.
Why. I do not know why, but Dan Feeney is not it, boys. He's not
Dan
it.
Feeney,
Who tells you that? He was sound for $1 million. He's not expected to come in here and start. He's expected to provide depth at the best. Like,
honestly, he could be better than Eichenberg. You don't even know
he
that.
Could, my whole point, CB. My whole point, CB, to Steven earlier,
bro.
Was,
so
does
y'all
any of these signings instill confidence in you?
I do not have confidence right now in these signings at all. Okay. On the offensive side.
Any of these signings tell you, man, this guy's
you need a big name. You need a big name at guard.
I don't need a big name. Here's what I want to see, CB. Show me somebody that has started a minimum of 15 to 14 games minimum over the last 2 or 3 years.
Dan Finney started what? How many games? He started for 3 seasons straight.
No, he didn't.
No,
he played in those games. He only started
2 games last year and 5 games the year before that.
I'm talking about with the Chargers. The Chargers.
2 years removed. I'm not.
How many games? Just tell me how many games he started. Steven, can you tell me how many games he started?
3 years, 16 straight games, 3 years in a row.
3 years, 16 straight games, and you're telling me he can't be a starter? Hold on. No, I'm done. I'm done with it. 3 years, 16 straight games. You're telling me he can't come to Miami and possibly be a starter in front of Liam Eichenberg?
There's a question mark there, right?
It doesn't. There's a question mark with everybody. There's a question mark with the draft.
Some question marks are bigger than others.
You're right. But that's the nature of the game, man. We can't even I'm not 3 years, 16 straight games. He gotta be decent. He gotta be serviceable. He has to be. You can't tell me.
That's my point, CB. Serviceable does not cut it.
You don't know. In this system, coaches have a different plan. I don't. We don't know. The shit's up in the air. I told you that.
But CB, here's the problem. A lot of us, I'm not saying you in general, but a lot of us.
I'm not gonna panic though. That's the thing. Day 2 of free agency, I'm not panicking. I can't. It's not worth it to me.
It's so
There's
funny
a lot that could go on.
So here's the part, and I'm contradicting myself in some ways. But so yesterday I'm on with the Finns tailgate, and Miss Finns is up there, and we're talking about the backup quarterback situation, and we get into Teddy Bridgewater versus Mike White, and
my gosh, what a terrible argument! Can you guys stop arguing, please? That was such a waste of time.
So we sat there and we say, hey man, look, she tries to bring up all the accomplishments that he's had in the past. And my argument is, look at what Teddy Bridgewater did the last 2 years. Nothing, not a thing, not a damn thing.
So, what have you done for her lately?
Let me finish. Let me cook. So I was like, I'm not bringing up his past accomplishments that are 2 or 3 years. Actually, I think they're 4 or 5 years removed, to bring up what he can do for me this year. So Mike White is the better backup for this year and moving forward for this football team, and I'm not mad at it, right? But if I'm making that same argument, when you're sitting here trying to tell me about Dan Feeney, and you're saying, hey, look, he started for 3 straight years with the Chargers. Well, CB, that's 2 years ago. Not 1, 2. 2 seasons ago. He started 2 games last year, 5 the year before that. So it's going down. It's going down.
Look,
going down.
Offensive line. It depends on his situation. How good was that guard in front of him in New York? There's a lot that goes on. That's context, man. You gotta look at his situation in New York. We don't know his situation there. There's a lot, and I get it. I get it. You don't want to look at that.
Let me ask you both of this question. It is day 2, and CB, you said it's only day 2. They still got moves.
Only day 2 of free agency.
Right, let me ask you both this question. So let's say Greer goes out and signs Isaiah Wynn, or he signs Donovan Smith, or even goes inside and signs Samalo from the Jets. Will that make you guys feel better?
100%. I will then flip-flop all over again and say, so the question was asked to me yesterday, where do you currently put the moves from this free agency? I say, if you're asking me right now, I put it at a C+. But if they don't make any aggressive moves on offense, it might even go down, right?
C+.
But if they make it, but if they make a move where they can add a really decent starter and maybe 1 or 2 big depth help, I think this goes to an A+ offseason. So right now, as it stands, knowing that there's probably 9, maybe 10, 8 to 10 offensive linemen are going to be on this football team, and knowing we have 10 currently signed under contract now, I just don't see that. The reason I'm panicking is because I'm like, I don't see anybody. I don't see the Dolphins going out and getting anybody. And to be fair to what somebody just put in the chat, the only option we have now is to go trade for a decent starter. And
that's not true.
I just 3 guys who can start on this offensive line that are still unsigned free agents.
What are you talking about?
But what are the odds that Greer's going to make those signings? Because everything he showed me over the last 2 hours from the offensive line side, not
depth,
there.
Guys.
No,
it's depth.
So it doesn't preclude him for the ability to sign one of these guys, Steven, or trade for somebody.
I mean, honestly, there's still a lot of time. I can't panic yet. I can't. I think there's still a lot of. We still have the draft. We still
be honest with me.
There's still a lot of ways.
Be honest with me, and I want you to play the what if game with me. I know you don't like playing it, but I want you to play it.
Here we go.
If the Dolphins don't make, let's say they bring in another Dan Feeney or 2.
Okay.
Right? They don't go get somebody in the draft. Are you going to be okay with the personnel going into this year with Tua, who hasn't played a full season? We can argue back and forth whether he has or not, but he hasn't played a full season, okay? He hasn't started 16 games, whether you want to say there's an injury or not. Okay.
So you're talking going into camp, or are you talking going into this?
Are you
summer?
not going to feel like, man, it almost doesn't matter that we got Jalen Ramsey. It almost doesn't matter that we got David Long, because if we can't keep our quarterback upright, and if we can't allow our running backs to get through the offensive line.
Right. I understand the need for, feeling like you've addressed the offensive line. I can understand that. I think the run game wasn't committed to fully, and I think that's a Mike McDaniels thing. That's not an offensive line thing. I think there were times where we ran the ball well, even in Buffalo. When we played them in Buffalo in the snow, we ran the ball well. I think there was just a lack of commitment from Mike McDaniel as far as running the football. I think if these same guys we had if Mike McDaniel commits to running the football, I think we're in a much better position, but he's got to commit to running the football. The plays have got to be called. And I understand the need for getting a couple offensive linemen, depth pieces, things like that. I don't want to see Liam Eichenberg starting. I agree with you there. Like, I want to see a guy who's proven commodity, who can play, who started multiple years.
Hit the nail on the head. I don't understand the flea market approach to the O-line.
But you can't pay. Look. How many units in the NFL, period, where you pay all guys good money? It doesn't happen. Like, you either got a couple rookies on there that are playing. It just doesn't happen. You can't pay all 5 guys. You can't.
Forget the money. You know how I feel about it. Salary cap's not real, right? We can find a way. Hey, do we not agree that this is the best secondary in the NFL, period, hands down, not even a question?
It should be, okay? For sure. It should be.
And honestly, I'll be honest with you. For me, the icing on the cake was re-signing Nik Needham last night.
That was a good piece. I like Nick.
If he's the last guy in the secondary and he's got that much talent, hell yes, this is the best secondary in the NFL. You can't tell me that it's not. Because if Nik Needham sees the field on a consistent basis, then something went wrong with the guys in front of him. And Nik Needham's a good player. Okay, he's not a scrub. Yeah. He's good. Okay,
but Stephen D.
Hold on.
We aren't panicking yet.
I'm panicking a little bit, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm panicking, man. We have 10 linemen under contract currently as is.
Those guys under contract are not going to be. Those 3 of those guys won't be here. I can guarantee you that. 3 of those guys will not be here once we
Chris Greer better show me that he's willing to not have the flea market approach to this offensive lineman and show me, look, I can deal with the low risk or the high risk, high reward of an injured player. I know people don't like that. I'm okay with that approach. People hate that approach. I think it's a good approach. Okay.
Can I ask you a question, Stephen D?
Yes.
All right. And this is for you and Cam. What if Mike McDaniels thought that, hey, these guys aren't being coached properly and we aren't getting the best out of these guys, and that's why I'm bringing in a new offensive line coach? What if he felt that was the way to approach it? What if he felt like, hey, my guys are good enough, they just aren't being coached properly, they need more attention, they need better direction, they need better technique, better fundamentals, etc.? Have you guys ever thought about that?
We talk about it. We haven't had an offensive line coach since the Cocaine Cowboy. So, like, but it's true. Is
it possible, or is it you don't think that's the case?
No, it's absolutely possible, but we don't know that either. I think it's the equation. Breaks down between the talent evaluation and coaching. And that's on the coaching staff and Greer.
All right, so here's my.
But you drafted Robert Hunt, and he's panned out very well. You drafted Austin Jackson and Leon Eichenberg and Dieter, and they haven't under the same coaching staff. So you tell me.
But everybody wants these big names. It's like, man,
I never said
shit ain't possible. This is what I want y'all to understand.
That's not true.
I agree.
Hey, look. You do it at premium positions like cornerback, linebacker, at offensive line. You get a couple tackles, couple bookend tackles. The interior guys are usually just guys who work hard, guys who get in there and grind. Like, you can't have a bunch of this isn't Madden where you could just build your own damn team. It's just not possible. Some of y'all think y'all playing Madden. Some of y'all think y'all playing Madden. This ain't Madden.
CB, but CB is right. Like you have
this ain't Madden, bro. You gotta pick and choose.
You allocated so much money towards that offensive line, knowing that you've got 3 to maybe 4 starters.
Look how much you spending. Look at how much you're spending in other areas.
Let me answer your question, CB83. I made that analogy a couple weeks ago on my show. Hey, look, when Butch Berry signing happened, I said, because we all know how I felt about Matt Applebaum. Oh, man, this guy comes from college. He took Boston College, which is a nothing team in college football, had them as a top 10 offensive line in all of college football. You get to bring a talent like that here to coach. You're going to get to develop some really good talent. Okay, I was all about it. I thought that was the case. Right now, here's what I do know. Post hindsight being 2020, McDaniel makes the statement in his postseason press conference. Or not in his post. I don't know if it was his postseason or one of his recent ones, but he comes out on record and says, one of the issues I had last year is I had to have Frank Smith in the offensive line room a lot. And I need to have Frank Smith taking over the duties as offensive coordinator a little bit more to help relieve some stuff off my plate so that I can be a head coach. So I needed to bring in somebody that I could trust with the offensive line room. And so he brings in somebody like Butch Berry, who he's worked with before when he was in San Francisco.
Right, okay.
Mm-hmm. So I believe that he's now bringing in somebody that he trusts without a doubt because he's seen and worked with him before. He hadn't seen and worked with Applebaum before. All right, so I can only answer that off of this regime's presence, which is in its second year with this regime, right? Now, as the Dolphins as a whole, as a franchise, we're still talking about the same franchise that have had 9 different offensive line coaches in 10 years. Right. Big problems there, CB. Huge.
Yeah.
That's a revolving door. You can and part of the
and I hear you.
Hold on. Part of the discussion that I was having yesterday is you have guys like Liam Eichenberg or Robert Hunt or whoever over the last 10 years that walked through this door. When you keep on having new offensive linemen, you're going to have an offensive line coach that walks in and says, oh, this guy sucks. I don't think he has what it takes for me to develop him. I'd rather bring in my own guy. So every year you have a new offensive line coach that has to reevaluate the talent that's already in the building, decide the talent that wants to come through the door, and be on the same page with the head coach with that. That's a lot.
I get it.
For every single year.
Now, I understand. Yeah,
I do like that Butch Berry has a history with McDaniel. I think it's a good one. Okay. Do I know if he's a good coach or not? I don't know. There are a lot of red flags from a lot of Denver Broncos players about Butch Berry, but we'll see. And I talked to Alex Dono, and he likes Butch Berry. He thinks he was good when he was here at the University of Miami. Now, with all of that being said, the Dolphins, from a GM standpoint and bringing in talent to a position that has historically with this franchise been bad, not even good or mediocre, just bad. Okay.
Yeah.
As a fan base, we look at the Jalen Ramsey and the Tyreek Hill trades and we're like, oh my God, this is great. Absolutely amazing. And up until this morning, I was trashing anybody who came in with, guys, they're just making those trades to cover up the wool over your eyes. Come on, that's a conspiracy theory. We're not going to do that here, so on and so forth. But I did say in the back of my mind, and I think I said it publicly, I was like, I can't defend somebody on a consistent basis who does not bring in help at a position that historically needs help. You are selling the fan base on a quarterback that is consistently been hurt. You're selling the fan base on an offensive line that has consistently been mediocre or below. And you want me to believe that this team's going to be better than it was last year? I get that some of these specialty positions are absolutely amazing. But, man, I don't know what to tell you when it comes to the O-line. And to me, where you win games is in the trenches.
Right.
And if I can't trust the offensive line, how the hell am I supposed to trust the rest of the offense?
I mean, let's be completely honest. Like, our offensive line wasn't that bad last year. Like, Tua's going to have – look, all right, here we go. No, let's not. So, Tua's going to take sacks, right? He's going to have to learn to take sacks. He's not going to always be able to throw the ball away. That's part of this thing. Like, Tua, you're going to take sacks. Every NFL quarterback takes sacks. He gets hit. That shit is normal on every aspect across the board. The offensive line, the running backs rush for 4.95 yards per carry. I mean, and people talk about, you gotta have a right tackle to protect his blind side. I get it. You gotta have players to play, but you also have a fullback in this offense. A lot of people don't watch film too. Like, they don't understand what the fullback does.
And even if they do, they don't know what they're looking at.
Exactly. They don't know what they're looking at. So the fullback does a lot for our pass protection. He does a lot for our run game. The tight ends do a lot for our run game. They do a lot for our pass protection. Let me just pause you.
There's a reason that Gesicki's not here, because he can't block.
Exactly. So these people are crying about, we need these guards and tackles, and we need all of this. Some of the most important components in our offense, scheme-wise, are the fullback and the tight end.
Steelers just cut Miles Jack, by the way, the Jacksonville Jaguar that they got. I would love to see Miles Jack.
I like Miles Jack.
I would love to see Miles Jack too. Uniform. But go ahead.
Love them coming out of school. Yeah, but I think people are just panicking a little bit. The fullback and the tight end are really key components in the offense, especially scheme-wise. When you go look at the games like the Cleveland game where we ran the ball really well, it was the fullback who was making all the blocks. It was the tight end making all the blocks. Those are the key components. I think people are just, the O-line. No, it's the scheme of the offense and how Mike McDaniels wants to run this scheme. I think fullback will be important. Tight end will be important. He's going to plug in a few guys here and there on the offensive line to fill some holes, to upgrade some positions. But I think we'll be fine, man. I think we'll be fine. A lot of people don't watch film, and guys like Lewis, they just don't. He doesn't watch film. He just gets up here and spews nonsense because he doesn't understand the game of football.
Okay,
right. He can't go break down a game. He can't go break it down and tell me why they do certain things. So that's why I laugh at guys like this, because their opinions, that's all they spew. They can't get up here and show you anything of substance.
You and I have had conversations about football aside from having them on a podcast, correct?
Yeah, of course.
So do you think I'm somewhat knowledgeable about the game? I'm not saying you think I'm an expert by any stretch. Do you think I'm knowledgeable? Okay.
Yes, I think you're knowledgeable.
Is it not fair for a fan to look at the moves? I like what somebody said, the flea market approach to the offensive line.
Not in day two.
Nervous, man, and not be nervous.
Here we go. Not in day two of free agency. We still have OTAs. We still have
many positions.
But we still have training camp. We still have cuts. We still have a lot of stuff. We still have another 3 to 4, 5, 6 months before we play football again. I don't think it's time to panic yet. I just don't think I'm there. I don't think I'll ever be there until we get to training camp and we realize, hey, these guys aren't cutting it. That's when I'll start to panic.
So I like what you just said. You're saying I'm choosing not to panic. I'm choosing to wait till we get to training camp. If training camp comes around and the offensive line room looks like it does today on March 16th,
and it's abysmal,
then by all means, I am okay with having the panic attack start then. Is that what you're saying?
That's when I'm okay with it. I can't panic now. We're a couple of days into the offseason.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay realistic. With that statement.
There's just a lot that could go on between here and there. A lot.
That's a true statement, right? And I said at the top, like, nothing that Greer's done to this point has instilled confidence, but there's still plenty of time that he could instill confidence in upgrading the offensive line. And we all agree that this offensive line needs upgrading.
I want you and Lewis to get on a show together and just go at it.
Lewis is a clown, dude. That dude can't. He don't watch film, bro. He don't watch film. He can't break. He can't tell me what cover 2 is from cover 3, bro. It's just crazy, bro.
Barry Jackson,
you guys need to hug it out, CB.
Man, it's just some dudes I laugh at in the community, and it's some dudes it's like, I can deal with Pete. He's a troll. I know what he is, right? Dudes like Lewis who claim they know football and then just get up here and spew nonsense. Blasphemy. It's blasphemy, Steven.
I don't want to laugh because I like both you guys. I love both you guys.
I like Lewis too. He's just a clown.
I disagree with you. I think
Wolf Pack, bro.
Lewis is definitely 100% part of the Wolf Pack. You're not getting that debate out of me. But
hey, the president.
He is the president, GM, 100%. But I do think he is knowledgeable. But I just think he looks at it from a different point of view. And to take Lewis out of it and just put people in there. I think that some of the things in the chat.
Lewis is Stevie Wonder watching film. That's exactly. Gabriel spotted a spot on Stevie Wonder watching film, bro.
You said laugh.
Ray Charles.
I don't want to laugh. Scott Paulus says 2 games in California show how bad the O-line was. Tua had no time to throw deep, and they shut or run game down. Or McDaniel failed.
Shut our run game down. What is he talking about? Oh my gosh. You guys got to go back and watch the games a little bit, man. 4 yards of carry isn't shutting the run game down. Now, do you commit to the run game and do you say, hey, I'm going to run the ball instead of trying to throw the ball because my quarterback's struggling a little bit? My guys are struggling getting off press coverage. Should we run the ball a little bit more? I think those are some of the questions you need to be asking yourself, man. You gotta.
Barry Jackson reporting. So the Dolphins have Lamb and Christian as the backup offensive tackles, but I would expect another move at tackle. Unsure what. Nothing percolating at the moment, but their primary backup tackles last year, who are free agents through Fins, appreciate what Shell did for them last year.
I do 100%.
I do. I mean, anybody who can come in and play a backup role. Yeah,
but he's a good depth piece, right? He proved that he could come in and be a good spot starter. We need somebody who's going to, the whole thought process behind an offensive line is to get that unit
five guys
17 games.
Yeah, and I think the offensive line they did way too much shuffling, man. It's just too many moving parts. You got to have 5 guys kind of locked in their spots, and we need the guys to stay healthy along that line, man. And I understand what you're saying, Cam. Hey, we can't expect him to play 17 games when he hasn't played 17 games, but we need Armstead at least for 15. Like we can't have you out 5 to 6 games a year, bro. That's not gonna help us get a good seed and
can I ask you a question? We like the moves that the Dolphins have made the last 2 years, right? And we agree that there's the question marks with the O-line.
They're building.
If we get into next year, and the reason that we're losing games is because quarterback pressure and Tua is getting hurt because of the pressure that he's getting through the offensive line, and we're not able to establish a run game. Or we're not able to establish a run game the way we want to because the offensive line is not doing it. Do we not put Chris Greer's head on a pitchfork and say, I can't defend you?
This is on Mike McDaniel too, man. It's on both of them. Mike McDaniel can't be stubborn with what he wants to run and how he wants to run it. I think those guys have a relationship. Like Vic Fangio said, hey, if there's a guy I want, I'm going to go bang the table for him. Mike McDaniel should be doing that for offensive line and guys he needs in his system too. So it's going to be a combination of McDaniel and Greer if the offensive line is bad next year. I mean, and And Butch Berry too. It's going to be all three of them. I mean, the unit has to get better, but you also got to commit to running the ball, man. You can't be a finesse team on Sundays and then expect to come out and establish yourself in the trenches. You gotta pound it a little bit. Mike McDaniels, when he had his press conference, he said, hey, we're going to be physical up front. We're going to be tough. That's not what I saw last year. I saw a finesse football team. It was, I'm going to throw the ball all the time. I'm going to try to get Tyreek the ball, try to get Waddle the ball. I'm not going to bang these running backs. We should have been banging our running backs. We should have been banging Jeff Wilson up in the hole. And we didn't run enough outside zone with Raheem Mostert. Like, it's just not enough. I didn't see Teron Armstead pulling around the corner, leading the way for Mostert. I didn't see those plays. And that's what bothers me. Not enough jet sweeps. Not enough Tyreek and Waddle on jet sweeps. Not enough creativity on offense, man. And everybody wants to get up here and cry about offensive line. You got to help these guys out a little bit. Run it outside. Run it inside. Use the entire field. Like, everybody wants to cry in the chat about, we need offensive line. We need some creativity along the play calling. That's what we need too. We need to establish some creativity. We can't just
email from CBS
back up and throw the ball every damn time, man. Man, y'all got me fired up today, man. Sheesh, I was just coming up, talk a little offensive line. Why you got me like this, Steven?
Look, here's the reality of the situation. I feel that I do think that you made me think, okay, Steven, hey, look, let's see where we're at free agents or at the beginning of training camp to decide whether we want to.
That's a long ways away.
Because that's a long way away. And there's draft, there's trades that can happen. There's other free agent signings that we can do. Don't just panic yet. But I can admit I started hyperventilating a little bit this morning and freaking out because I do understand that there are only so many spots on a team. And there are only so many spots that the Dolphins can bring in. And when the Dolphins currently have 10 people that are currently under contract, I know that they are the priority. And the odds of them getting a quality offensive lineman now decreases with every time they get another offensive lineman to come in. And
I see what you're saying. But some of those guys will be cut bait. Like, some of those guys will be cut bait. You got to think about it.
Yeah, but the guys that are there now, like, where's matter of fact, let me get the tweet that Barry Jackson wrote. Give me a sec. Let me grab this up here.
Hey, and Cap, I understand you being passionate, tired of being lied to. It's I think you say it's bait and switch. I get it. But you gotta trust the process. And that's what I want to preach to Dolphin fans, is trusting the process. I mean, I think everything is not going to be done overnight. This is not, and this is the problem with society. It's such a microwave society. You guys want everything instantly right now. It's not happening like that, man. It's just, that's not how you build a football team, and that's not how you do it the right way. You got to have some guys sit out a little bit, sit on ice, so you could negotiate with them. Hey, you haven't got a deal yet. Are you ready to get signed on to a team? Are you ready? Or are you still waiting out there, waiting for somebody to spend money on you? I think that's part of the process, man. We can't just throw money at everybody who's out there. You gotta negotiate with some guys. You gotta play hardball. You gotta play poker. You gotta use your poker face on some of these moves, man. I trust Greer. I trust McDaniel, man.
And you can't say we've been lied to, because we set ourselves up for that, right? Like, the Chris Greer in this organization doesn't make moves based on our feelings. They make them
based on what's best for the organization.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you can't sit here and say, oh my God, I've been lied to. Well, like, they didn't call you up and tell you what they're doing and do something else.
Hey, but what we're looking at is, so even with our starting quarterback missing 5 games last year, we made the playoffs and we competed in a playoff game to go on to like a division game. Like, no matter what you say about last year, if we said, hey, Tua's going to miss 5 games and we're going to go through, shuffle our backup quarterbacks, our second and third string quarterbacks to play in games, there's no way you thought we were making the playoffs last year. But even with all that stuff happening, all the shuffling on the offensive line, we still found a way to get into the playoffs and compete and lose a game by 3 points that we should have won. We should have won the game. If we had a couple more plays here or there, guys make some plays, catch some balls, make some throws, we win that game. And I don't think, looking back at last year, I can come into this year and be negative about anything. I just can't do it because we shouldn't have been in the position we were last year. We overachieved for what we dealt with last year.
We overachieved for, say that one more time. We overachieved
for what we dealt with, like the adversity we faced last year.
I think the talent was there, and I think that at certain places, and I think that was enough to overcome the issues that we had last year, but it wasn't enough to make a deep run because of the issues that we had.
Right.
All right, let me say this because I can't find the tweet that I saw earlier. It had to do with the 10 offensive linemen that were under contract with the Dolphins. I agree that it's probably too early to panic. You have brought me back
too early. Way too early, Steve. Come on, man.
But, and there is a but here, CB.
I got you. I'm hearing you.
I am very skeptical about the approach they are taking with the offensive line. And I think that their options are limited with every player that they keep on signing because they're only going to have 85 to 90 people on this roster at training camp. And out of that 85 and 90, a majority of them that are going to make this roster are currently already signed. So the people that are there are just camp bodies.
Disagree.
Cam, get him, Cam. Cam, get him, man.
Listen, I just identified 3, if not 4, offensive linemen that could be upgrades over who we currently have in the free agency class. You still have opportunities to trade for offensive linemen. And then 3, you've got the draft that's full of offensive tackles and guards that could be upgrades over current players on our roster, especially the ones you just signed for depth.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
There's not that sense of urgency. I'm just saying to this point, I'm underwhelmed at the moves being made concerning the offensive line.
And
doesn't mean my
that,
opinion can't be changed, and that some really good signings, trades, or drafts can be made to upgrade the offensive line. There's still time to CB's point.
All right, let me bring on a friend of the show.
Here we go.
The clown of the show.
Let's get ready to rumble.
These guys.
Hey,
Lewis. What's up, buddy?
It's good.
Get on
Steven.
camera. Get on camera, dude. Show us your face. Thank you. Hey, you backwards cap like me, bro. You want to be me so bad, bro.
What?
Bro, your beard doesn't, bro. Stop trying to be me, bro.
Can I please say what's up to Steven, Cameron, and Clown? What's going on, man? How y'all guys doing?
I'm here with my popcorn. Lewis, what's up? What's good, brother?
Hey, Cam, I'm just gonna be honest. You know what this sounds like to me? The past 25 years. You know what it's been called? The mediocrity. That's what it's called.
Oh, man,
Stevie.
mediocrity.
We had Steven joining the Wolfpack yesterday. He was
No,
almost there.
do not
He
put
was
that
almost
narrative
there.
out there,
Hey,
Lewis.
Steven, so you in the Wolfpack now?
No, I am
Is that
not.
what this
I am
is?
not
Yes,
there.
yes,
Don't
he
let
is.
Don't let this man
Yes,
lie to
he
you,
is.
Stevie. You don't even like him
Hey,
anyway. You gonna trust what comes out of his mouth?
He
Don't
wouldn't
let the
dare.
man lie to
Stop
you.
it. Stop it. He wouldn't dare,
He is
bro.
a Wolfpack member. He was
not a
this
Wolfpack.
close. And then you see what happens for everybody in the chat. You let a rainbow chaser ice cream liquor like CB83 come up here and ruin it for everybody.
I love ice cream.
That's what
man.
happens. I know
I like
you do.
ice
You've
cream.
been licking it for 25 years.
Hey,
We all know.
I'm rocking with
You got some in your
my
beard right
Dolphins
now.
flavored ice cream. I'm rocking with my Dolphins flavored ice cream.
Unbelievable. Hey,
I like it.
what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do again if Tua doesn't get protected by this offensive line, where Cam and Steven are both telling you we haven't addressed? What happens if Tua goes down, CB? Because you can watch all the film you want.
Was Tua not protected this year, or was he?
Absolutely, he was protected. Absolutely.
Was he protected or not
when
protected?
this whole offseason? No. This whole offseason, all I heard though was offensive line. So that's
Why,
what we
though?
should
It's
have
because of
addressed.
the run game. It has nothing to
It
do
has
with
nothing
Tua
to do with the run
being
game.
They're
protected.
running it
No.
back with the
It's
same
about
running backs
protecting
they
Tua.
did last year, CB. To be fair.
Which is fine.
By the way, I don't have an issue with that either.
I'm cool.
But
I'm
I
cool with
wanted
that,
to-
and you have an opportunity to draft a guy too.
Right. Again, but what I'm trying to tell you is the David Long signing and the Jalen Ramsey big pickup that everybody was so excited for doesn't matter because again, Tua, it's a great signing.
It does
CB.
matter.
You're not,
Here we
CB,
go,
it doesn't
Lewis.
matter. If
our defense would have been
field,
better,
Jalen Ramsey
can I ask you a
doesn't
question?
matter.
Can I ask you a question?
If Tua's not on the field,
Can
doesn't
I
matter.
ask you a question, Lewis?
Does your question matter if Tua's not on the field? Yes or no?
Can I ask you a question?
Does your question even matter if Tua's not on the field? Yes or no?
Can I ask you a question?
Then answer your question. Then go ahead.
If our defense was better last year,
right?
Do we win more games?
No. Our defense played great against our defense.
Oh, come on, man.
Can I answer the
Stop
question?
being
Can I answer
foolish.
the question? Can I answer the question?
Go ahead, but you're lying.
Your defense, I'm lying. Check this out. This is the film breakdown since CB83 says I don't watch film. Guess what? I watch games. In the playoff game, we had 7 sacks, 3 turnovers,
You're talking
and
about
outplayed
one
the Buffalo
game.
defense. Hey, did we win that game?
If Tua plays, we win that game.
Well? No. You just
the defense
said
played great. The defense
and why didn't
played
we
great.
win? Why didn't we win?
Because we didn't have enough
because
on
our quarterback wasn't there, correct?
Yeah.
So again, if Tua doesn't stay healthy this season, it doesn't matter if you get David Long Jr., Ramsey, or whoever else you got on this damn defense.
That's not true.
What I've been trying to it is true.
Because
the
if Mike
quarterback
White,
is everything in the NFL.
Hey, Lewis,
Mike White
let me throw this,
or Teddy Bridgewater playing that game.
Let me throw this out there, Lewis. Okay. Dolphins lost to the Patriots by 2 points. They lost to the Bills by 3 points. They lost to I'm going through here.
Lost to Chargers by 6 points.
Yep. They sure did.
Right.
Lost to Green Bay by how many points?
I think
close game.
They lost to Green Bay by 6 points. So there's
one possession games.
There's
one possession.
4 games right there that we
Defense
can agree.
could not get off the
kept
field.
You in the game.
Oh, time out.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Lewis, what you cannot do.
That's a lie.
Is say that, especially with the game where we lost by 2 points to the Patriots.
That man got up here straight line to y'all today.
Give me the Bills game by 3. Not even
Why did we lose?
Not even including the playoff game. That's by 3. I'm talking about the regular season game by 3.
Why did we lose?
Right?
Why did we lose in all those games?
If the Dolphins had the defense that they're going to have this year, with everything being the same last year from offense, Dolphins easily win two more games. Easily.
I agree.
3 to 4.
Hey, do you think any of the teams
probably beat Buffalo in the playoff game?
Yes,
I agree
for sure.
I agree.
Do you really? Or are you just saying that to appease us?
Hey, I think
I'm just saying that to appease you. I'm just saying that to appease you. Let me tell you guys. Let me tell you guys something right now.
Wolfpack alert. Throw the Wolfpack emoji in the chat. Throw the Wolfpack emoji in the chat. Y'all already know what time it is.
I ain't got long. I'm working. My partner's waiting for me. What I'm trying to tell you is, right? Vic Fangio was a head coach, right? He was a head coach at Denver. Do you think he had any input on what that Denver defense was? We can all agree he did, right? Even as a head coach, he had. Did they ever win anything? Did they ever win anything in Denver?
I mean, to be fair, there were so many.
No
issues
why?
there.
So now we're picking
issue. What was the main issue?
What was the main issue? Hold on, buddy. Some people are good. Some people are great coordinators and bad head coaches. Fangio might be a part of that list.
Flores.
McDaniels. He is a part of that list. I don't get you. You're not going to tell me that McDaniels is a good head coach.
Fangio was a great defensive coordinator, and he could have been a great head coach, being a great defensive coordinator if he would have had the quarterback position right.
That's it.
It's
You
not.
have nothing to base that statement off of except a personal opinion, which, by the way,
quarterback is the most important position.
Steven, I'm going to stop you both right there and support Lewis in this, because what Vic Fangio did in Chicago, go look at what he did with the Bears.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, go watch film. Go watch film on it.
Dude, he had defense with zero on offense.
Cameron,
thank you.
Cameron is the blanket statement of, listen to me, bud, the blanket statement of, some coordinators are great coordinators, But when they become head coaches,
have the job
there's a
done.
million other things they have to do, and they don't. That doesn't.
So that's such a
translate-
generalized statement. Like there's so much
win.
that has to. There's so much that has to happen for everything to click for that
Get
to be
him,
a
Cameron.
good. And number like you look at Kansas City and what the coach there. He's been there forever. He's built a program and a culture and surrounded that with a quarterback that is exceptional, right? That has to happen for you to be a Super Bowl contender. Green Bay did the same thing. You know, you're seeing it happen in Cincinnati. That's why they're investing in the offensive line.
Yo, there's a lot that needs to go on.
They've got the
Steven,
best
I
wide receivers in
appreciate
the league,
the-
and they're fortifying the defense.
The invite. I came up here. I appeased all my fans in the chat. I killed CB83, and
You
I'm
did
out of
not
here.
kill
Love y'all, boys.
CB83.
Love
Stop
y'all,
the
boys.
cap,
You
Lewis.
know it. I killed him,
Stop
Steven.
the cap.
You know it. I killed him. Holla
I love
at
you,
y'all.
Lewis. I do love you.
He's hilarious. I love it.
But to expound on that point, and I'm agreeing with Lewis here, that so much has to happen, and CB, you just said it too. Like the perfect situation all has to fall into line. So you put those pieces in place, right, and try to build around those pieces. The skepticism with this fan base is QB1, right? Is he that piece? We can all agree that Coach McDaniel was probably the better hire, and we're confident in that. Now we've got a defensive coordinator with an all-star lineup on the defensive side. So while this whole conversation, this whole podcast today is the missing formula is the offensive line and what we have or have not done to fortify that.
And we don't know. And like I said, we don't know whether that's coaching. We don't know whether that's players. I think there's a lot to that.
You know something is wrong, though, and it's not adding up.
And CB, I'm not talking about coaching. I'm talking about personnel, right? I'm talking about putting the pieces in place to be an elite team. And have we done that so far in the offensive line? I say no, and we can all agree that. But to your point earlier, there's still opportunity and time to upgrade.
Yeah, for sure.
Period.
For sure. I mean, period. There's still time to upgrade, and I think Mike McDaniels has to do a better job of committing to the run game. And his game plan has got to include running the football and getting creative with running the football. I know you guys want to talk about
San Francisco's when Mike McDaniel was there and he was the quarterbacks coach, run game coordinator. Mm-hmm. You know, their offense was predicated on run zone scheme, right? And he did a really good job of creating that. Maybe he didn't have
they also had the personnel to run that.
Maybe he didn't have the offensive line continuity last year to do some of those things.
Right. So and maybe Dan Freeney.
A lot of the offensive linemen.
Maybe Dan Freeney is a good piece. You
saw glimpses of it. Right?
You're not going to sit here and lie to me and tell me that Dan Feeney's a great pickup.
I'm not saying he's a great pickup. I'm saying maybe he fits the scheme. And that's what people don't understand. People just are like, oh, these guys suck. They suck in this scheme. They're going to suck in our scheme. No, that's not the case. It could be a totally different situation. We've seen players go from backup roles to being serviceable, really good players in the NFL. We've seen that before. But I know a lot of you guys don't look at the offensive line. No. It's not a pretty position.
Time out, CB. You are correct in that blanket of a statement. That is true. Okay.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
But what I don't 100% trust or have full faith in is the Dolphins' ability to have that come out. And I'll give you the best example.
This is a new coaching staff.
You're
right.
Regime. You're right.
New regime.
You're 100% right. You're right.
It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same group of people turning the doors.
But it's some of the same personnel, and that to me is the problem. Pete's Take with a $5 donation says bringing back Nik Needham should be a red flag on Fangio already. He better bring back Melvin Ingram, who actually helped us more than you can imagine. First of all, Nik Needham was great for what he was. Like I love Nik Needham. Absolutely love him. And Nik Needham is the 7th or 8th secondary person, maybe even 9th in this secondary.
Listen, we were talking about Nik Needham starting last year, coming out of training camp.
I understand. And now he's 7th or 8th in that entire secondary room.
He's a dog. Those are guys who just really don't know ball
Dude,
like
the
that.
fact that Nik Needham is last in that room tells me everything I need to know about Fangio. He just upgraded tremendously, plus getting a lot of guys back healthy. I am so excited for Cater Kahoo and Trill Williams.
Yeah,
let alone Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard.
Bro,
And you get
the secondary is no fly zone. That's the new name. That's the new no fly zone.
Best secondary in the NFL, and it's not even close. I will not accept any slander on the secondary. None.
No slander at all.
No
Jalen Ramsey. That's my Seminole, baby.
Well, you know what? Let me retract my statement. If Noah Igbenogany is still there, we're going to have a problem. But neither here or there, I don't see him playing in this secondary. So, and if he does, there's something went horribly wrong.
Hey, don't let the Wolfpacks get you down, Steven. I got to roll. I appreciate you having me up, man. Don't let them take your joy. They didn't give you your joy. They damn sure can't take it.
You know, I said that yesterday, and I said that you guys aren't going to steal my joy. And I came up here this morning after seeing those two signings, and I was like, what happened? This is what I said the Dolphins need to do. And to be fair, I did freak out a little bit, but you're right. It's day 2 officially of free agency. There's still a lot of free agents available that are out there. The Dolphins will sign more offensive linemen at minimum for the basic continuity of training camp. You have to have a big room. So there's an opportunity to bring in more people this year, and maybe they like those guys. And if you got to remember, if they like somebody else, those guys just move down because somebody else with better talent move up. And that's how you build depth. You bring in talented pieces so that when you bring in new guys, now you're not relying on them to be starters, you're relying them to be depth pieces. But I agree with Cap. Time is ticking. Hey,
the Bills fans, the Patriot fans, y'all are cooked. Don't even worry about it. We're done with y'all.
Hey, real quick, let me just ask you, CBY, I got you up here for 2 more seconds. What do you think of Aaron Rodgers? What do you think of Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets?
He ain't going to the Jets yet.
He's there. I think it's great for the division. I think it's going to be competitive. I think we'll still beat the Jets. I'm not worried about that.
Listen,
do you see Brett Favre 2.0?
That's all I see. And I think it's a great thing because when it happened, we went to the playoffs.
Sure did.
Last time it happened, we went to Chad Pennington took us to the playoffs. So just happen all over again. I appreciate it.
You know what would be the most Jets thing ever if he fails his physical and decides to retire? It would be awesome.
Oh, that would be crazy. Not
only would it screw the Jets, it would screw the Packers. It would be awesome.
It's crazy. Hey, well, appreciate you guys having me. Cam, Steven D, you guys are killing it.
Keep doing your
thing. What's the next time you're going to be on the network?
Next week, man. Let's do it.
Next week, man. Friday night. CB83. Vince coming with CB83. He'll be here next Friday, hanging out.
Hey, let's crank up, man. Let's get it going.
Love you, brother. You're the man.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Later.
All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Did you get your bracket in, bud?
You didn't.
I did. I sent it to you.
Man,
you didn't get it in.
I'm just going to email the one I just did.
Do you see it? I can't.
You guys didn't even. We didn't signing that was.
Huh?
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said.
Talk about what a great signing Deshon Elliott.
Oh, dude, Deshon Elliott. I mean, it goes to this. It goes to. By the way, it says you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to lock your brackets in. Only 7 brackets, guys. Huh?
I don't even see your email.
It's from CBS. It's from CBS brackets. CBS Sports. Cameron 954. I'm not going to say your entire email. I won't put it out there.
Yeah. Whatever.
Do you see it?
Nope.
All right. Well, I'll pay you back.
Anyway, going back to Deshon Elliott. You know what a huge signing that is for this team?
It's huge. Huge. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm When I saw it, I was like, I knew of him through Baltimore because he played 3 years in Baltimore. And he's not like that guy that's going to be there every down, but he's such a great role player. And the fact that he's added to this defense, oh my God, to me, it just makes, it's awesome. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So what do the Dolphins do today? Anything?
I don't know. I really don't know what the Dolphins do moving forward. I know that we're still not sold on the tight end. I still would love to think Dalton Schultz is available out there, but I don't think that's going to happen now. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if there's another big name the Dolphins make, and that's what kind of scared me this morning. So I have my reservations.
But that's so back to what CB and what I said earlier, does it have to be a big name to be better at offensive line? I identified 3 guys that would be better in upgrades, but they're not necessarily the big names, Samalu and Terrence Steele from the Dallas Cowboys. Man, that's a big upgrade.
It is. Look, we'll definitely see what happens there. I think the Dolphins, when it's all said and done, obviously we'll make some more signings. I just don't know what they look like at this point. If you look at it from a standpoint, they've addressed everything to a certain extent,
Noob, you're not getting that email.
So.
And I agree with Canes, man. Bring home Braxton Berrios. I would love to see him as the kick returner.
Dude, Braxton would be just icing on the cake. It would give us a return guy. It would add us another guy in the wide receiver room. It would bring depth to the wide receiver room. Would love to see Braxton Berrios as a Miami Dolphin. And from what I've heard, it's something that can definitely happen. There haven't been, from what I have heard, there haven't been direct conversations between the two, but there's definitely mutual interest between the two.
You can send me that $20 back.
I will. I just said I would. Well, I'll send you $10 or $12 back or whatever it is because you sent it on YouTube, and YouTube takes like 46%, 48%.
I don't give a shit. No, actually, I got charged $29.98.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
You need to send me a screenshot because I'm just interested to know what happened there. The sky is falling, Steven. It's okay to feel that way. Caslin with his $5 donation says. All right, guys. Look, it was a lot of fun today on the show. Went hard in the paint yesterday on Wildin' Out Wednesday, and then did 3 hours on the Finns tailgate, hanging out with them, cussing up a storm, having fun with those guys. I know it was a short show today, but Friday, tomorrow, Spread Kindness Friday with Jason Sarney. Tuesday, this coming up Tuesday, Cameron, we're going to do the mock draft special. So be on the lookout for information from.
I'll be in South Carolina and Georgia next week.
So you can't do the Tuesday morning show or Thursday?
More than likely not, but let me know on Monday. I'll let you know on Monday.
Okay. Okay, Cameron, if you don't want, if work is more important than the #1 Miami fan morning show,
you want to pay me, Steven, I'm more than happy.
I would like to get paid too, man. I'm just telling you,
You get paid. You get paid. And the
man,
tournament just tipped off.
I know. I'm excited, man. Who you going for? Maryland, West Virginia, this first game.
Maryland.
Me too.
Hey, you talk real quick about this kid, George, the Georgia lineman who isn't going to get any jail time. How it's going to affect his draft status, if at all.
I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
Carter.
I think the name sounds familiar. What's the whole story?
He's like the top defensive lineman. He possibly could have gone #1 in the draft. He was booked on misdemeanor charges for reckless driving and racing.
12 months probation and $1,000 fine, and has to perform 80 hours of community service and finish a driving course. Interesting.
It killed a Georgia football player and a recruiting analyst.
Oh, that's the kid.
Yes.
Wow.
They were drag racing. Right.
Caslin says, I'll pay you your daily salary for Tuesday, Cameron.
So you don't want to get into that, Caslin. You don't know how much, man. It's not the daily salary for clock blockers.
It is not. I love having you on, man. Hey, how's your daughter doing in the swim meets?
She is the fastest 11-year-old breaststroker in the state of Florida. Cat for life. I'll be in, where am I going to be? Ponte Vedra Saturday, Savannah Monday and Tuesday, Charleston Wednesday and Thursday, and Hilton Head Thursday night through Sunday. That's where I'll be.
Cat for Life says, if you pass Greenville, South Carolina, watch out for the deer. Gatlinburg, Tennessee is beautiful there too.
Dude, I love Greenville. It's a nice place, man.
Definitely is. All right, man.
Thanks, Lewis. Good shout out and good to see you, Lewis. Man, I appreciate it.
It was fun today. This was a fun show. I loved it, man. Shout out to the show today. Hope you all enjoyed the show today. It was a lot of fun. We're hanging out. Tomorrow's Spread Kindness Friday. Have a big show tomorrow, and then we'll be back next week. It'll be good stuff. It sounds like Cameron might take the week off, go relax, vacation somewhere.
No, I got work too up there, man. But I do want to answer this question. Who do you trust more to go in the tournament, FAU or Miami? So I have FAU going Final Four. I'm sorry, Miami going Final Four, but FAU, they win their first round game. They've got a second round matchup against Purdue, and that's tough.
If FAU can be a really fun Cinderella story, they have really good talent.
They're not getting past Purdue, bro.
But I don't see them getting past the second round. When it comes to Miami, though, if you
can absolutely make it to the Final Four,
they can. I was really upset about the ACC tournament. I was hoping for a better showing there, and if they had won the ACC or at minimum went to the ACC championship game from the tournament, I would have said without a doubt they need to be in your Final Four. But I don't know. There's something missing, and I don't know if they have it. And when they run into some really good teams, it's funny. You talk about playoffs or any other playoff format in any other sport. I think the best team wins most times. You still get your upsets here or there, but the NCAA tournament is so different than any other tournament or playoff system or playoff format in any other sport, because anybody can beat anybody at any given time if they show. Like, it is truly you having a good day and the other team has a bad day and somebody else is hot. A 15 seed can beat a 2 seed, and they're definitely not the better team. And if they played them 10 out of 10 times, the 2 seed's going to win 9 out of 10. But it just takes that one time in the NCAA tournament. And
Valparaiso proved us that years and years ago. Bryce Drew hit that 3-pointer against Auburn.
So
CJB.
I like to say that as far as teams are concerned, Miami's one of the best, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get it in the tournament. And all you got to do is you play the right, opponent in the tournament, you're done. And so
listen, I got Alabama, Purdue, Miami, and Gonzaga in the Final Four, and I got Alabama beating Miami in the championship game.
Man. We'll have to see. All right, I hope you guys enjoy. To the 7 people that got their bracketed, I'll get everything figured out. But just so you guys know who's in the tournament. Where's it at? There we go. Standings. We got Cool and Heat, Bo, Damian, Jason Sarney, Sean Yates, Steve K. You guys should have a good time. It looks like it's going to be good. I'm excited. I'm going to watch y'all's brackets and see how they do.
Boom. Man, it's the best time of the year. We got spring training. We got NFL rumors and free agent talk. We got March Madness.
World Baseball Classic.
We got NBA and NHL coming down to the playoffs.
Real quick, I haven't asked you yet. We haven't talked. Tyreek Hill did the 60-meter dash in the men's track and field, man. How cool was that?
That was awesome, man. It was awesome. Dude, Braxton Berrios.
Did he
sign
just
with
sign
the
with the
Dolphins?
Dolphins?
I hope so, because I'm the Texas dad right now. Nothing yet. Here, let me. Hey, while we're live, let me text his dad. Hold on.
Yep, it's official. Adam Schefter. Dolphins are signing former Jets wide receiver Braxton Berrios to a 1-year deal. Can you get his dad on?
I'm texting him right now.
That would be dope.
Because I asked him the other day, and he goes, "It's a distinct possibility." And so I know he had some other.
I texted Mike White's dad, and he said that he'd get back to me.
I got to talk to you offline about that.
Okay, yeah. So I would definitely want to see about getting Mike White on and Braxton. That'd be awesome, man. That'd be good stuff.
Dude, I love that. What that does. So that further tells me also that Cedric Wilson's on his way out, right?
Oh yeah. I think 100%. Yeah. That the writing's on the wall for Cedric Wilson, I think now.
Omar says he's better than Schefter. I broke it here first time here. I love it.
Man, Braxton Berrios, let's go. Super excited about it.
Let me see here. Let's go to the home page. Mike White.
Should be good. I'm excited about that. That's awesome.
Dude, I love it.
All right. Braxton Berrios, Miami Dolphin. Breaking news as we get out of here. I'm excited. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. 1 year deal. Huh?
1 year deal.
Listen, and he's a Drew Rosenhaus
guy.
He's his agent. So I like that, man.
Braxton's dad hit you back yet?
No, he's
probably not.
I don't know, man.
All right. We tried.
I'll let you know.
But nonetheless, it's still cool. Braxton Berrios, Miami Dolphin. And I think that, shores up the return position and he becomes the number 3 or 4. I think he probably becomes the number 4 wide receiver on the
definitely
team.
The slot threat,
Yeah, 100%.
He's definitely another person that fits really well in the offensive
By the
scheme.
way, crazy speed on that wide receiver. Like he just adds to the speed that's there.
So let me ask you, someone else put this out on Twitter, and I think it was Sarney. Would you be mad if we ran it back with Matt Collins?
I would love for Matt Collins to come back. Would love for him to come back, but I think he's on a 3-year deal, isn't he?
I don't know, but think about what we're talking about here, and just we need height, right? We need a red zone threat. We need somebody who can high point a ball. And you know where I'm going with this.
I do.
I think that there's no market out there for Mike Gesicki and what he wants, and I think he would love to stay in Miami. And we
You think Gesicki would love to stay in Miami?
Yeah.
I don't.
I don't think he's gonna get what he was looking for elsewhere, and he knows he can be a part of this offense and catch touchdowns in the red zone.
He does not want to come back to Miami.
Who else are you gonna like? All I'm saying is that
I think he ends up in New England.
I think that's only because he's rumored to be visiting there. Listen, this offense needs height in the red zone. Easy's not that guy. Braylon Sanders isn't that guy. Shirley Waddle and Hill aren't those guys.
Should the Raiders re-sign Matt Collins? Oh, he's a free agent. Yeah, I wouldn't mind to see Matt Collins back in a Dolphins uniform. I'd be all about it.
And listen, he's a special teams ace too.
I know. I would bring in Matt Collins. Yes, please. Love the kid. Absolutely love him. Would be about having him back.
Gesicki had five regular season touchdowns and another one in the playoffs, and almost should have had 2.
All right. I think we're going to get off here. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show. Braxton Berrios signing with the Miami Dolphins. We'll get more into it with Jason Sarney tomorrow. It will be a lot of fun hanging out. Cameron, man, had a good time hanging out with you today. It was a lot of fun. Hit us up at Cameron954, at Stephen D, SKPL, and at East 32 Dolphins Tailgate. We'll see y'all tomorrow right here on Clock Blockers. Peace.
A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter column. Whole squad been trained to go. Fence for life, we throw the folk. Singing this just to welcome bro. To a time, to a time. Time to grind, time to shine.